welcome to Libra season. Thanks for tuning in to the Embodied Astrology podcast. My name is Renee, and my readings are channeled messages based on the astrology for your sign in this season ahead. And my goal is to support you in embodying and integrating the most helpful and healing energies at this time. I'm excited to get into your Libra season reading in just a minute, but before I do, I want to ask you to stick around at the end for some information and announcements about what's upcoming at Embodied Astrology and some of the ways you can use the current influences for best benefit, especially when engaging with Libran kinds of things, like relating with yourself and others, and staying connected to your internal sense of center and balance when there might be a lot pulling or pushing at you from different sides. Okay, so stick with me at the end of this reading for those announcements. And then one more thing I want to tell you, which is that I've been taking some time off to reshape and revision some important parts of my life, which is definitely something that this time is asking a lot of us to do. These horoscopes were recorded way back in May in Gemini season, so please let me know how they land for you and what's resonating now in the comments. I do read my comments, and I love and appreciate hearing from you so much. As you tune in with this reading, keep in mind that astrology is an ancient, vast, and multidimensional technology. But sun sign horoscopes are general, and every astrologer has their own lens for interpretation. Not everything I offer will resonate for everyone, so take what works, leave the rest. Always listen to your own intuition and make the meanings that are most meaningful for you. I also want to remind you that horoscope astrology is most accurate for your rising sign. Pro tip though, check your birth chart and see if you have a late degree rising sign. There are 30 degrees to every sign, and if your rising degree is later than 25, I'd recommend also listening to the sign that follows yours. If you have a different rising and sun sign, listen for your sun sign for more information on your general energy and your rising sign for accuracy with timing, prediction, and thematic content. You can also listen to your moon and Venus placements for insight into your relationships, particularly important this season. If you enjoy my readings, make sure to check out your 2025 Year Ahead Expanded Horoscope. That's over an hour of in-depth exploration of this year's most important astrology for your sign, and those readings are discounted now, but still have so much information that is very relevant to this year and this season ahead. Okay, thank you so much for sticking with me for these announcements, and I am wishing you all the best in Libra season and beyond. So let's get into your reading. Hello Pisces, welcome to Libra season. Libra season begins on the tail end of two powerful eclipses. We get the last eclipse of the year, the day before Libra season starts. And as we move into this season that begins with the equinox, happy equinox, there's actually a lot of planetary influence that's already starting to move into Scorpio. So Scorpio is intense, eclipses are intense, and the place that Libra lives in the Pisces solar charts is also intense. The place where Libra lives in the Pisces solar charts is called the 8th house, and the 8th house is associated with the 8th sign, which is Scorpio. So though we are in Libra season, it's giving heavy Scorpio also. And the meaning that I'm making out of this, Pisces, is that you are going through a big transformation right now. The 8th house and Scorpio energy is Phoenix energy. It is about burning down and rising from the ashes again. It is about journeys into the underworld that are harrowing and difficult, and also absolutely essential when it comes to personal transformation and growth. And I feel that many of you are really in a very deep place as we enter into Libra season. You might need some time alone. And I think that whether or not you feel like you need time alone, you do need time alone. You need time to reflect. You need time to process. You need time to work things out right now. And if you don't feel like you need time alone, then maybe you need some time with a non-human being. Because maybe you need some time with your ancestors, your guides, your guardians, your spirit team. I feel like there's some energy of like necessary communion that can only come through quietude that's speaking to me in your chart as we enter into Libra season. So that would be the first thing that I would just say if this resonates for you. This is definitely a time to really heed the call. And I don't know what you need to do in your life. Maybe you can get away for a couple days. Maybe you can go hide out, in a closet or something. I don't know what you got to do, but it does feel pressing for some of you. I also feel that this is a period of time when you are really going after your own growth. And what I mean by that is that in this period of transformation, this kind of dark night of the soul that I think some of you are feeling in Libra season, or maybe you've been going through for quite a while, something is alchemically shifting for you, and you feel what happens after. And what happens after is a different kind of empowerment. And this is the wisdom of the Phoenix, or the dark night of the soul, right? Is that we go through things that are terrifying and devastating, and in a lot of ways maybe include a lot of loss. But there's also something that's given in those kinds of experiences. And what is given might not be something that we ever would have asked for or even think that we want. But if that's what's given, then that's what you have, and that's what you need to work with. And I feel like some of you are kind of in this place right now where it's like you're being accountable. You're being responsible to your own choices, and you are collecting what is yours. And this includes your sadness, and it includes your disappointment, and it includes your trauma, and it includes all that you have lost. And inside all of that, there are also parts of yourself that you have gained or reclaimed. There are also aspects of wisdom and maturity that you could not have cultivated any other way. There are perspectives that you have that are making you wiser. And you're in a really deep place right now, is my feeling. And I think that life is asking you to go on a new adventure of some kind. And I don't know exactly what this adventure is. For some of you, it could be literally, that your life is like, go travel to the other side of the world and, do this thing that you've never done before. That definitely could be the case for some Pisces out there. But I think that a lot of you, the adventure is something that feels more internal. It might be more relational. It could have a lot to do with you clarifying your desires, your wants, and your values in some new and different ways. And I think that there are shifts that you have been wanting to make in your life that they're loud for you right now. And they may not be totally ready to manifest or realize, but they need to be concentrated on. You need to dream about them. You need to fantasize and play around with different ideas of, could this work, or is this for me, or something like that. There's a full moon in Aries on October 6th, and there's a lot that's happening in Aries this year in 2025. Over the last many years, Neptune has been in Pisces since 2011. And in February of 2025, Neptune made its first ingress into Aries. Now, Neptune is currently retrograde and not quite in Libra season, but like in the first day of Scorpio season, Neptune will return to Pisces, and it's going to return to the very last degree of Pisces, where it will station direct later on in the year, and then it will move back into Aries next year, and it will stay there until 2038. Saturn has also been in Pisces over the last 3 years, and in 2025, it made its first ingress into Aries, and then stationed retrograde and went back into Pisces in early September. And I feel that this Aries full moon on October 6th is amplifying some themes that have been starting to percolate and brew over the last several months that have to do with new desires that you have and new awareness of your needs. And there's also something here around the resources that you have already and how you want to work with them. And I feel that these are resources that include what you have built and cultivated for yourself. And this definitely would include your skills and your talents, as well as like capacities that you have had to develop because of what you have lived through, or maybe that you inherited, because of what your parents or family members lived through or something like that. But I feel like there are resources that you have that you might not necessarily even conceive of as resources because they're just part of who you are. But something that you have wants to be used in a different way so that you can have more of what you want. I don't know if that made sense. I'm going to just give you a personal example, okay? So I work as an astrologer, and if you only encounter me through Embodied Astrology, then you might just think, oh, Renee is an astrologer. What you might not know is that in order for me to set up my business as an astrologer over the last decade plus, I have had to learn a lot about making websites. I don't make my own website anymore, but I did for a long time. This maybe isn't even a skill that I have anymore because I really have no idea how to use website builders at this point, but we're just going to go with this example. And let's say that I still made my own website, right? But it's I'm not thinking of that as the thing that I do. It's just something that I do because of the thing that I do. But let's say tomorrow everything changes and I'm so bored of astrology. I don't know what to do. What's so interesting? Making websites. And then I'm oh, I have skills, right? Or maybe it's a different kind of circumstance. Do you get the point of what I'm trying to explain rather ungracefully right now? I feel, Pisces, that you have something that is valuable that you might not recognize as so valuable. And this full moon is knocking at the door and being psst, Pisces, you've got something, use it. And over the next couple of months, because this does feel like a longer term kind of recognition, and I would say through the end of the year and into the early part of 2026, I think that a lot of you are listening and you're oh yeah, I have something and I want to use it. And so you might be compelled to refine your skills or to figure out your messaging around them, because maybe you're figuring out that you have some kind of talent that you never even knew was a talent, but all of a sudden you're realizing that it is, and now you want to use it in some way that allows you to do something new and different. So make the meaning that's meaningful for you. Let me know in the comments if this resonates. I'm very curious if this feeling is accurate and what I'm getting about it. But I do feel like your life is asking you to do things differently right now, and to see how what you are doing or have done can be repurposed and rearranged, and maybe what you've cultivated and the skills that you have and how you've built can be applied in different ways somehow, so that you can do something different, go on some different kinds of adventure. At the end of Libra season, on the 21st of October, there is a new moon. And this coincides with, as I mentioned, Neptune moving back into your sign and Mercury beginning its next retrograde cycle. Now, Mercury will station retrograde in November, well into Scorpio season, but it will station retrograde in Sagittarius and then go back to Scorpio. Sagittarius is your fellow mutable sign, and it holds the heaven of your chart. And this is about what you are doing with your life. Career path, vocation, lineages, legacies, adulting, who you are and what you stand for in the world, your public image and reputation are themes in this part of your chart. And I think that you are being called in some new kind of direction. And this thing about how do you repurpose, recycle, regenerate? You don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? Like you have a lot of resource. And I don't know if you know that, but I feel like at this point in the year, you want to be contemplating what you already have that can do different things for you. Like put your talents to use in different ways, put your skills to use in different ways, put your resources to use in different ways, change things up and make them work for you better. I'm not sure if any of that made sense. I really hope that it did. The final thing that I'm going to say about Libra season and the new moon that is happening in Libra on the 21st of October is that this is also a kind of a wake-up call, I think, for you around where maybe some of what you have is being misused in your relationships. So this could include material resources. This definitely can include your time, energy, attention, etc. But I feel like a lot of you are kind of having a moment where you're like, oh, I've been putting all of this into, this particular thing with this particular person, but it's actually not what I want to be doing anymore. Or I put all of that energy into that particular thing with that particular person, and it didn't really pan out in the way that I wanted it to, or I felt depleted after, or I didn't get back what I needed in exchange, or something like that. And so if that resonates for you, then I'm going to say that this is a big learning moment for you around what you want to give and what you need to get in return. And there might be some other themes coming in right now around exchange with other people and where you share energy, time, resources, space, etc. And you are wanting some new contracts, you're wanting some new agreements, you're in general in the landscape of Libra season, I think trying to take more responsibility for your resources. And that includes your energy, first and foremost, like that, your number one resource, Pisces, is you. It's your life, it's your energy, it's your capacity for attention and presence, etc. And then we have like time and labor, and then we have your material possessions, okay? Like those are not your best or most valuable resources. First and foremost, it's about you. And I feel that a lot of you are in a place right now where you are really needing to renegotiate how you're doing exchange inside of your relationships. And this is part of the process of you recognizing that you can repurpose certain aspects of what you have or who you are to do something else. Okay, let me know if that makes any sense for you. And if you want, let me know what you're doing and how you're changing. I like to finish my horoscopes or include inside of them an embodiment practice because astrological information is kind of nebulous in my experience. It just kind of like floats around for a while. I'm listening to a reading and I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. And then the reading is over and I'm like, what did they say? Even as an astrologer, even speaking the language itself, I think is meant to be more poetic and suggestive and flow in and out. But I do definitely feel that working intentionally with astrology it's amazing. And it can be really productive, very, very helpful. And some of the ways that you can work with astrology have to do with tracking transits and timing and electing certain timing and all that. But the way that I like to work with astrology, most of all, is to embody it. So let's tune in with your chart for a little bit of embodiment practice. Okay, what your chart is asking from me or inviting from me is some awareness around the balance of the symbol of Libra. So I'm going to suggest something to you. Take what works, leave the rest, modify, adapt as you want and need. We're going to just start off with a practice that you may be familiar with. It's called centering. And in this practice, we are going to tune in with different relationships of what might feel like different sides in our body. And we're going to use that first to find a place of center. And then once we've found that centered space, we are going to use that centered space as a gauge to help us clarify where we get off center, okay? So first, let's bring attention to the ground, and you might be lying down or standing up or seated, but what I mean is let's bring attention to the lower half of our bodies. So from the waist all the way down through the legs and into the feet. Maybe move a little bit or wiggle, or if you're standing or seated, you might reach down into the earth and just feel the lower half of your body. And then allow that to bring your awareness to the upper half of your body. Okay. And in this awareness, feel your length. So from your feet to your head, from your head to your feet, can you notice that whole axis? Okay. And then we'll shift our concentration and notice the left and the right sides of our bodies. So start on one side and wiggle your fingers and your toes and fingers on that side, and maybe reach over to that side, and then do it on the other side and feel your limbs. We are very interestingly shaped creatures with a lot of left and right pairs. Okay, and then feel out to the sides in both your left and right sides, and then feel in towards the center, and then feel out towards the sides, and notice your own width. Okay, and then we'll bring our awareness to the front of the body. So if you could draw a line from your ears down the sides of your body and bisect your front and your back. Now let's bring attention into the front. And so you can use touch, you can use weight shift, you can use just your awareness, noticing the front. And then contrast that with noticing the back. Feeling into the space behind you. All right, Pisces, let's try and find all of these planes of motion all together, all at once. So feeling your length, feeling your width, feeling your depth, the space between your front and your back. I forgot to say that before, your depth. You can feel that between your forehead and the back of your head, between the tips of your toes and the backs of your heels. Length, width, depth. Okay. So holding your awareness in this balanced space of length, width, depth, all at the same time, two sides, up, down, left, right, front, back. Call into your imagination right now one of the situations in your relationships that you are trying to be present for. Work out, whatever the language is that you want to use. I'm saying relationships because I just feel like that's what your chart is really focused on right now. You could choose anything. You could choose your relationship with money. You could choose work. You could choose family. You could choose a fear. You could choose something that's happening in some other part of your life. So just call one circumstance into your awareness right now. And as you imagine what that circumstance is, allow your body to respond and make an authentic gesture of how this experience feels in your body. And what happens may be very subtle, okay, or it could be pretty big. So your whole posture might change, or you might just feel a little bit of a weight shift or a little departure from one place to another. accumulation of energy somewhere. Okay, so notice what you notice. And then be with those feelings, okay? The sensations, the physical sensations of what you're noticing in your body. And ask yourself, what does that mean for me? Okay, so as an example, if you maybe noticed a little bit of like your front body moving back, maybe a little less presence in your front, maybe a little shrinking down, that might be a cue. It might be a clue that something in this particular dynamic is creating a situation where you're shrinking a bit. And then you might want to contemplate that, meditate on that, and ask yourself, what am I hiding? What do I need in order to take up my own space a little bit more? Maybe you feel like you get so much taller and you lose your width and you lose your depth and you're just all length, right? That might be a cue or a clue as well. Have you lost relational capacity? Are you really in a kind of space of self-preservation? How might you widen? How might you deepen? Okay, so this type of somatic inquiry can happen in a split second, and you can also take all day to do it, and neither is better, but practice builds familiarity and capacity with it. So if this is the first time that you've encountered this kind of practice, maybe play around with it throughout Libra season. It's a great time for you to be tuning in with balance and imbalance. And this kind of subtle awareness can help clue you in and cue you in to particular types of patterns that might need something a little bit more energetic or somatic, more than they need something mental in order to resolve or progress. Play around with it, Pisces. Let me know how it works for you. I hope that this practice or any or all of the reading feels supportive for you. I'm wishing you all the best in Libra season and beyond. Hello again. Thanks for sticking with me. Your attention is so valuable, and I really appreciate you giving some of it to me. If you enjoyed the reading I just gave you and you're interested in working more deeply with your chart and current astrology, I want to let you know about a few things we have coming up here at Embodied Astrology. First off, if you're interested in working more with me, I would love to see you sometime in Somatic Space. This is my weekly virtual class where we practice sensing astrology through gentle healing movement, meditation, and visualization, and working with the current astrological influences in embodied ways so that we can be internally prepared to make the most of our opportunities and work skillfully with the challenges. The live online classes are every Monday from 8 to 9:30 a.m. Pacific, but you can always catch the recording anytime throughout the week if you can't attend live. You can drop into Somatic Space whenever you want to check it out, but if you sign up for one of our monthly memberships, you'll get access to the live weekly class along with a library archive of past class recordings and twice monthly chart reading study groups, which are great spaces for learning more about how to work with your natal chart through experiential embodied practice. Our study groups are facilitated by my colleague and Embodied Astrology's community coordinator, Alicia Malji. Alicia is also facilitating a 12-week cohort beginning on September 23rd, just 2 days into the beginning of Libra season, called At the Heart of Conflict. This is the second group of 5 12-week gatherings, which are taking place during Jupiter's transit in Cancer between June 2025 and June 2026. At Embodied Astrology, one of our primary intentions is to harness astrology to work with the needs of our times. And Jupiter's influence in Cancer is particularly well suited for exploring patterns of conflict with curiosity, care, and in community with others, which is what this series is dedicated to, and also what this Libra season's influences are definitely asking for. Then, starting on October 19th, Embodied Astrology has a very exciting opportunity, which we are so happy to extend to you, to work with Palestinian dancer and choreographer Saed Mansour in an all-levels exploratory movement practice called Dancing the Political. Saed's work is powerfully transformative, and as we leave Libra season and head into Scorpio's time, we'll be working with a Mercury retrograde and some big influences in the water element that really need us to look and feel deeply at the stories we're carrying that keep us locked in points of view where we cannot see beyond our own perspective. This practice and process is designed to bring you into the deepest heart of embodied interconnection, assisting you to claim your truth and experience while also expanding your felt sense awareness of what else is possible and present. I can't overstate how important it feels to me to be doing this kind of work at this time on Earth. So if you're a person who knows that change begins with you and you're committed to working for love, liberation, peace, and justice in the world, I hope you'll join us for this truly unique and special opportunity. If you're interested but unsure if you want to commit to the full series, join us for the intro session on October 19th when you can meet Saed and get a taste of the practice. If you know that this work is calling you, or if you feel compelled to join after the intro, we're hosting a 4-session series between November 17th and December 7th that will change your life in wonderful ways. For more information, check the link in the show notes or head to embodiedastrology.com where you can find Dancing the Political under the Events tab, along with information about everything else I just mentioned and a lot more. Lastly, if this work benefits you and you want to help me keep giving these monthly readings for free, please consider signing up for a recurring monthly donation. If every one of our listeners gave just $1 a month, we would cover 100% of our operating expenses and have funds freed up to offer you even more. Other great ways to support this work are to follow, subscribe, like, comment, sign up for our free newsletter, and send a horoscope to a friend. All right, thank you so much for sticking with me for these announcements. I am so happy to be part of your life and Libra season. I am wishing you all the best in this season and beyond.